Welcome to the North Carolina Field Ministers Podcast, Changing Life, Changing Culture. This podcast offers a forum for field ministers in North Carolina to discuss their lives, their ministry, their impact on incarcerated neighbors, their viewpoints on issues that affect the currently and formerly incarcerated, and their perspectives on a variety of topics. Please note, the podcast does not officially represent the North Carolina Field Minister Program.
I find myself at Foothills Correctional, and I'm here as a field minister. And I've been asked frequently, so what is a day like for you there? You know, what does your work week look like? And it's really fluid. It really just depends. There is some consistency, some sense of routine, but honestly, we're fortunate here to have less of a boss who is telling us what to do and more along the lines of having the freedom to just assess the general situation and the lives of the men around us and just seeing where we can be of use. There's 4 of us here with me, and we teach Bible studies. We teach some classes for the state, like Thinking for a Change and Father Accountability. We've been fortunate enough to I've started an art class, and another field minister here started a music class. We walk around from unit to unit, and this is one of the areas that I really love the most because for me it all starts with relationships. But I'm able to go to the various units in the various blocks most afternoons and on the weekends and just get to know guys. Sometimes these interactions are as simple as just saying hello, greeting someone, asking how they're doing today. All right, just trying to be a friendly face. That sets the groundwork for more meaningful relationships and encounters down the road. My goal here is to unapologetically share the gospel. I also understand that that's not going to be something that everybody receives. But I'm like, okay, how can I still seek to be a positive influence and encourager in someone's life? So perhaps I can help them to do their time. A guy comes in here with a 5 to 10 year sentence. All he knows about doing time is what he's seen in movies and what he hears from people. Sometimes that's not the best advice to go off of, and then you can find yourself pretty quickly walking down the wrong trail when you could otherwise set yourself up for success, when you could otherwise take steps that could further equip you to actually have success upon getting out of prison, which is something that I'm going to touch on a little later on. But, man, since I've been here, it's been 2 years and 2 months, roughly, since we've been here at Foothills, and there's been a lot of up and downs. But the thing that has been most fulfilling for me, the thing that I really see God at work in, is a lot of these men that we're able to build relationships with and then just share some of what our experience has been and how we can use that to just find common ground that opens up the door for gospel conversations, for just sharing with people how it is an encouraging way to do time. A lot of people look up to us. Obviously not everyone, but between the 4 of us here, you have over 70 years of prison experience. And so we have a little bit of, I guess, ground to stand on when it comes to offering advice on how to do time, how not to do time. You know, I could have easily done these last 13 years in closed custody. I was a few bad decisions away from doing my whole sentence in closed custody. Instead, I sought to live in such a way that would afford me an opportunity to continue to gain the privilege of being in custody, to continue to get an opportunity to have these programs, these education opportunities, the opportunity to receive a bachelor's degree, which would not have been afforded to me had I stayed in closed custody. I mentioned the significance of educating people in prison. It's so important for us to do this because a lot of the guys here, they're going to get out. They're going to go back to their communities. They're going to go back to their families. if they're not better off when they get out there when they came in, then what was the whole purpose for their incarceration? I love the model, I believe it's used in Scandinavia, where the society itself takes it on as a group effort to rehabilitate an individual that commits a crime, because they see the importance of not just punishing the individual, but of, for lack of a better word, fixing them, so that when they're back incorporated into the community, they can be a functioning member of society, so that they can offer something to society. And even for those of us that have long sentences that may not be released soon, well, people that are in prison for a long time often are the ones that have such a heavy influence on those around them. Now, do you want someone that with a great influence to have more of a mindset that is based on poor decisions, causing chaos in this system? Would you rather than be someone that is focused on change, someone that is focusing on just leading someone in the right way? And all of that kind of is predicated upon opportunities people have to be educated, opportunities people have to really learn a little bit about rehabilitation, because a lot of guys, they find themselves in this situation and they don't really know that they can learn more. They don't really know. All they have is the tools that they have in their pocket, which is not much. But if you can educate, if you can offer more programs, then guys can get, they can be better equipped upon release and just do well. I was reading something the other day, and it was the National Correctional Association. It did a report. It said that guys who are incarcerated, who earn an associate level degree, they're 70% less likely to recidivate than those who otherwise don't complete a program. 70%. That's an absurdly high number. And so it's something as simple as providing education to someone that really is interested in it. If that can help reduce recidivism rates, then that should be of utmost priority, because the sad fact is, in the incarcerated setting, unless someone seeks to educate themselves, unless someone seeks to change, they're not too often going to find themselves able to. There's not that many avenues where you're just going to naturally fall into these roles. You'll have to actively seek it, and it's difficult. You have to put forth effort to do this, which obviously effort should be put forth to really come about meaningful change. But without this drive, without this desire, it's going to be hard, because you're not going to be pushed into that role by the state. And that's why more school opportunities, more trade opportunities, more programs that help teach you. I believe more Bible studies, more roles of faith being incorporated that can kind of teach guys the need for such a thing. I've also been asked by a lot of people, what is prison like? We watch TV shows, we watch movies, we get an idea of what it's like, but there's a lot of kind of behind the scenes things that I think people don't really consider, people don't think about. I often hear recently tablets have been instituted into the North Carolina prison system, and I've heard from quite a few people, that doesn't seem fair to give guys there a tablet. Well, the problem is this mentality that prison is meant to be a place of punishment. That's a completely false logic. And if that is the situation, then it's not going to be helpful to the guys that are going to be reintroduced to society one day. Being in prison is the punishment. For me and for many people that I've come to know over the years, the fact that we're separated from our loved ones, the fact that we are apart from the people we care about, that's the most punishment you could ever inflict upon us. Doing time it's not that hard. If you have a little bit of sense, being in prison is easy. But being separated from the people you care about, that's impossibly difficult to navigate. Family expenses. For those of us who are fortunate to have people that keep up with us, they're in contact with, that care about us, phone calls. But most of you don't even have an idea of the cost of phone calls. You buy a phone with a phone plan, which obviously is not cheap, but each phone call you make is free. for us now, one phone call for 15 minutes costs $1.65. You can go back about a decade ago, and it was closer to $4. Visits, right? People have to travel oftentimes long distances to see their loved ones. You know, my family, when I was going to Nash for those 5 years, my family traveling from Shelby to Raleigh would often find themselves in a situation where they would have to get a hotel for the night. So it's almost like the cost of going on a vacation every time they come to see me. You know, they're so happy, they're so excited to be able to do this, but at the same time, this places such a great strain on them. You know, the support monetarily for loved ones. You know, because the food is not that great, and we can work. I'm fortunate enough to have a job in the field ministry program that pays a little bit more than most. It's still $21 a week, right? That may seem like a small amount, 21 whole dollars for a 50, 60-hour work week, but that's about the highest rate you can make in the prison system. For years, the jobs that I've carried, working as a janitor in the block or working maintenance, my pay would be $2.80 a week, $2.80, or roughly $5 or $6 a week. And so if that's all the money that you have to live off of, it's, you know, oftentimes it's really difficult to do without support from loved ones. And then, you know, when it comes to being in an incarcerated context and you find yourself genuinely wanting change. Let's say here at Foothills, for example, a guy comes into the prison system. He's got, say, 20 years. Well, you have to do a few years in closed custody before you could ever be promoted to medium custody, even if you stay out of trouble. So if someone's here for, say, 2.5 years before he's ever going to make medium custody, and he really wants to change, sadly, some camps do not afford the opportunity for classes. Some camps don't have as much to offer, especially closed custody. Medium custodies are much more rich with trade craft, with program opportunities, with jobs. But a lot of closed custody prisons in North Carolina just they don't have the opportunities available. So guys find themselves in situations where they want to change, but they're the minority. There are people around them that don't want to change. They're surrounded by people that are focused on everything else in the world except, you know, making positive decisions. And so that just really, it sets someone up to fail when you really, you know what, you have assessed your life. You have assessed, you know, what even brought you to this place in the first place, and you don't like it. But you're really, you're behind the tape already when it comes to seeking to implement ways in which you can live a better life. But not only that, being in the incarcerated context, being an inmate or an offender, as we're called now, it's dehumanizing in so many ways. And it's something that I've learned to accept over the years. I've learned to just deal with it because you don't want to ruffle feathers, right? You want to be able to navigate the incarcerated context in a way that causes minimal issues for you. And it's just being told when to eat, being told when to sleep, being told when to use the bathroom, not to have your window covered up. There's just a plethora of ways in which you get used to being viewed as less than. And that can be, some of us have learned to like cope with that with minimal difficulties. For other people, this can be something that's so difficult. I had a friend that was recently released after nearly a decade of incarceration, and he suffered a lot of trauma coming back into society because of just the things that really changed his view of himself. And that hurts him, but it also hurts his family, his community. You know, he should be better prepared. It's so important that guys, men and women in the prison system are prepared because most of them are going to get out one day, and we want them to be successful when they get out. Thank you, Valerie.